Running Man opened this past weekend, and it's got one of my favorite directors at the helm, Edgar Wright, a guy to me that can simply do no wrong, and the most skyrocketing superstar in movies, Glen Powell, in the lead of this one, a version of the movie that is much more faithful to the original book than Arnold Schwarzenegger's version ever was. I think the trailers look great. The CinemaCon presentation was awesome. And you guys know that since we reviewed the film, I was actually ended up being kind of disappointed with it. It wasn't terrible, but I mean, the first two acts are quite enjoyable. And then the third act really came off the rails. And I walked out a little bit disappointed. But I was still really surprised to see how few people went to go see this film. Its opening weekend was $17 million. It got beat out by Now You See Me, Now You Don't, a movie franchise that most people don't even know is a movie franchise. And it made barely more than Predator Badlands, which has already been in theaters for a bit. $17 million. Despite the fact, because, Rob, quite often we'll talk about how if a movie doesn't really perform well, we'll talk about, maybe the marketing wasn't so good. Maybe there wasn't much marketing. You don't have a lot of notable names attached to it. This had a lot of marketing. It had good marketing. It's got a world-class director. It's got, again, trajectory-wise, the hottest new star with Glen Powell. And yet, nobody went to go see this movie. Nobody. And, part of it maybe was advanced word of mouth, but again, the overall critic reviews weren't all that bad. Mine was one of the more negative ones, but it had like over 60%, which meant a majority of the critics liked it and all that kind of stuff. So it's left us here now to do this theoretical post-mortem. What went wrong? Why did nobody go to see this? Like, we're not talking about why was the movie not great. We've already talked about that in my review. But, like, why did nobody go to see it? I mean, people like Edgar Wright. People love Glen Powell. At least we thought they did. The trailers were very good. So it leaves us with a couple of options here, Rob, and I want to know which one you think might be the standout reason. One possible option is the fact that people just didn't want to see a remake of the Arnold movie. I could see that, although I don't know if I subscribe to that theory very much because the original Arnold movie is pretty old. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who haven't seen it. And let's be honest, it's not like the original Arnold movie of Running Man was all that fantastic. I mean, it was pretty good, but there are much
fantastic.
Fantastic. But there are much better Arnold films from that era. So I don't really know if that's it. Again, the traditional possible reason, marketing, but I thought the marketing was pretty good. So I don't know if I'd give it to that. One could say, as we made the point of, like in a show last week, Rob, where it's like, the reality is, as beloved as many of Edgar Wright's films are, none of his films opened very big. Like, nobody knew who he was when Shaun of the Dead came out, but even future things like World's End, Hot Fuzz, one in particular I really like, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like, none of those films, Baby Driver, I love Baby Driver, but none of those films ever opened big. And so we wondered that that would have something to do with it. But let me throw out one more reason why maybe not a lot of people want to go see it. Are we overestimating how popular Glen Powell is? Because like, to me, and like I think to a lot of other people, Glen Powell's kind of like the new It Boy, right? He's the new It Boy. I mean, he's it. Coming out of Top Gun Maverick. I mean, he's been around before that, but he came out in Top Gun Maverick, kind of took the world by storm. Then he did that little streaming comedy with Sydney Sweeney. What was it called? Anyone But You, or Go Fuck Yourself, or whatever it was called.
That movie made money, though. That did really well. That was the thing that sent him on his trajectory.
That was a theatrical film, right? Yeah, right.
But it was his follow-up to Top Gun Maverick.
But it wasn't like a $700 million movie, but it was good. Then he had Twisters, and Twisters did well, but again, it wasn't like a $700 million film. It didn't blow up the world. So now it comes up in this, really highlighting him as the big main lead. This is his film. And like, nobody went to go see it. And so I wonder, I'm not making any kind of proclamation here. I'm simply saying I'm wondering if is Glen Powell not the new it boy like we kind of thought to the same level? Because I mean, listen, say what you want, but you put out an action film, like you can talk about the struggles of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson right now and how nobody went to go see Smashing Machine, which was this little A24 drama. But Rob, does anybody believe right now if Dwayne Johnson put out like an action thrill movie right now, that movie's not opening to more than $17 million? I'll take that bet. You're damn right it will. They won't make 500 million like maybe it used to, but you put Dwayne Johnson in the running, man. I think this thing has a bigger opening than 17 million. I don't think this is good, but I think it has more than a $17 million opening weekend.
Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Zapier. You know, one of the biggest game changers of the past year has been AI. But let's be real, just talking about AI doesn't actually make your day any more productive. What does make it more productive is finding tools to put AI to work for you. And that's where Zapier comes in. Zapier is the easiest way to take AI and plug it directly into the apps and processes that you're already using every day. No IT bottlenecks, no complexity, just results. For me, it's been about saving time on repetitive stuff so I can focus on the work that matters and I actually enjoy. And it's not just me. Over 3.4 million companies are already using Zapier to streamline everything from sales and marketing to IT and HR. With their AI orchestration platform, you can connect top AI models like ChatGPT or Claude right into the apps you already use. So whether it's automatically enriching leads, coaching your sales team, or even resolving IT tickets, Zapier makes it simple. Guys, join the 3.4 million companies already automating with Zapier and transform how you work with Zapier and AI. Get started for free by visiting zapier.com/Campea. That's zapier.com/Campea.
I don't know, Rob, you saw this. Were you surprised? Because neither you or I thought this was going to have like an $80 million opening weekend or anything like that. But I got to say, 17 is even lower than I thought. Are you surprised? And what do you attribute this poor opening to?
Okay, first of all, I'm seeing this movie today. I haven't seen the film, but I've spent 3 hours on the phone with my friend Alvaro, who's a noted writer. And we talked about this movie in particular. I don't think it's a Glen Powell problem, although I think Glen Powell has his own problems. I think he's generic leading man. I think he needs to find some signature role that people think of him. I mean, in Maverick, he's a second player, second fiddle. I think the problem with this movie is everything in it was a variation on something that we've seen before. There's nothing in this iteration of The Running Man that was surprising. People could
number of other films that were still big box office hits.
Sure, but I think that everything in here, it's like, ooh, you mean the people making The Running Man are evil and corrupt? What a surprise. I mean, it's like this looks like the way the movie's presented. It's got a Hunger Games feel to it. It's got a little bit of that showmanship from the first Running Man, but it's different. I just think that people looked at this and they knew what they were going to get. There wasn't anything in it that was particularly surprising. And I think
again, I would say the same thing about, well, you talk about this a lot too. You and I both talk about this a lot. Avatar, we knew we were getting. Yeah, it was Dances with Wolves in space.
But you've never seen it. You've never seen anything look like Avatar looks. And I think that this film, you could show people the trailer for this movie and you could say, what is this movie about? And I'll bet you, even your cursory moviegoer could tell you everything that happened in this movie, because they set it up in such a way that you kind of knew the tone of it. Like when I read the original novel, which I was a huge fan of, the satire of this movie, it comes from like 6 different other films, whether it's, Verhoeven's output or you look at these dystopian movies that we've seen, and I think it felt a little generic. And I think that's why people didn't go. And I think the approach, and I love Edgar Wright, but I think he relied too much on everything that we've seen over the last 30 years about these slightly dystopian future shock movies. And I think people just felt it was familiar. Like, didn't I see that already? Was it Hunger Games? Was it something else. I mean,
I know, but I don't know that there's a lot of films that you can't say that about. Like, I think there have been a lot of big hit films that have that exact same trait, that, oh, this feels like this married this and this had a baby. You know what I mean? I think that's happened a lot.
But they have to have some intellectual hook that makes people go, oh, I've got to see that for this reason. And I think that this was generic future shock sci-fi action thriller. And Glen Powell is kind of generic leading man. You know, that's, you asked for, this is a theory. This is obviously, I'm just throwing this out there because I don't think Glen Powell has a distinctive enough career yet where he's had a signature role where it's like, oh, I got to see that guy. I would say that, like, what was it, Hitman? Was that the Richard Linklater movie? Wasn't that was on Netflix? With Ariana. I love that movie. I thought he was great in that movie. And that, to me, because he was playing all these different roles at first, that was the movie that I most identify Glen Powell with. And that was his own. He made that his own. And I think that getting into that, he's got a very humorous, funny side to him. Turning him into an action star might not have been the direction to take him in. I don't know.
There's going to be a lot. Whenever you have a movie that flops, there's always a lot of dissection that happens afterwards. What went wrong? Who do we blame? Lots of fingers to point and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Whether you saw it or not, and whether you liked it or not, it remains. I was kind of expecting it to make more than $17 million on its opening weekend, despite the fact that I didn't like the movie all that much. But still, why do you think people kind of avoided going to see The Running Man? Was it that it looked too generic? Was it that Glen Powell maybe not be as big of a draw as we kind of thought? Could it be, any one of dozens of other potential reasons? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.